You're watching Fanboy Versus with your hosts, JD Church, Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely.
And you are watching Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD, joined by Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, Chris McFeely. It's a whole new year, gang. Woohoo!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! It happened a week ago for most people, but for us, it's today. Yes. Anyway, so it is Fanboy Versus 2011, as we are going to present you this week with our picks for some of the best stuff of 2011 in a list that has just recently been edited down to some of its finer points.
Because, the cruel hand.
Yeah.
I did extra credits.
I know Nicole worked very hard. She looked at the list that we had talked about and set up like several weeks ago. Chris McFeely came in 10 minutes ago and said no, and vetoed
kind of power
things.
I wield at this place.
I know.
I just be like, whatever.
I'm a pussy,
You're right.
and I can't just say no.
Thank Chris McFeely for not letting us recognize the hard work of the best letterist of this year.
That's
because
right.
He doesn't think they deserve it, so
right.
that
Letterist,
person's gone.
Inkist, colorist, all
and the best colorist gone. Yeah, I had to pick and everything, but no, we're not going to recognize that poor guy.
No.
I think he did a good job.
No. Anyway,
so all right.
It's my 1-year anniversary with you guys.
No, we're kidding. I admit they're kind of cheeky, and I don't think a lot of. I mean, in one sense, I do want to say that yes, the work of colorists and inkists and letterists, inkers. I don't know.
Yeah, that's how little you care.
Oh, come on! What who was having a discussion this week about how to spell penciler? Come on. So anyway. So they do good work.
It's my 1-year anniversary with you guys.
It is
today.
Bravo!
Yeah.
Yes. Woo. And what a great year it's been. You know, I picked out some. I didn't end up doing it because I couldn't come up with enough to really do a full show. But there were some great clips from this past year, in particular involving Nicole. So I'm really glad that you're with us.
Her tearing up a comic on a live podcast.
Yep.
Outrageous.
A certain review of a comic called Epoch with ninjas and Michael Knight. That was.
So, and then you reminded me that I did imply that Spider-Woman has fart pheromones.
Yes. Fart pheromones was on there as well. There was some good stuff. I may still insert that into the end of this show or something.
Oh my god!
We'll see.
I totally forgot about that until you tweeted it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm an idiot.
The fart pheromones was great, but some of the sound was off on it. So that's why I didn't end up doing it. I didn't have good levels on some things. So anyway, those are fun. So, is there any new stuff that we really should talk about before
Dark Knight Rises trailer, we got it.
Yes, we did.
Yep, it's happening.
Yeah, and Heinz
That's
Ward,
the movie.
football
And
player,
guess what?
was on that.
You might be able to understand Bane by the time it comes out.
I had to watch that trailer 5 times to figure out what he was saying. I knew it was something to do with ashes and something to do with dying, but it took me 5 times to get the full sentence.
You know, I watched it like once a few mornings ago, and I was like, okay, that's a trailer for a movie. And went on, so I didn't even pay attention. I guess that he was talking, or that I couldn't understand it. I guess I didn't care.
Yeah, I hope they dub his voice in somehow because man, that was bad.
Yeah, I don't want to spend a whole movie with subtitles and/or going, what did he say?
It's bad enough that Christian Bale has to do this voice, you know. So to have Bane sound almost exactly the same is bad.
I'm a ninja specialist from Cybertron.
And then from what I could tell, Catwoman only whispers in the whole movie.
Yes, and apparently she represents the Occupy Wall Street branch of the film as well, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So
I just can't get myself worked up about The Dark Knight Rises.
I'm not. I don't know why.
I'm disappointed in it right now.
It's not like I
watch
don't
it.
think it'll be good. Of course, I'll watch it. It's not like I don't think it'll be good. I'm not sure how you're going to top The Dark Knight Rises. And it's just a thing that, I mean, you know, Nolan's gone for the really dark and realistic world of Batman. And when Batman Begins came out, that was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then The Dark Knight was, how long ago was The Dark Knight? That was '08, wasn't it?
No.
09, maybe?
Yeah, I want to say 09.
I think it was summer of 09, yeah.
So, before '09, we had Iron Man in '08. And since Iron Man, Marvel's movies have just been... They don't care about realism anymore. They are about making the best, most colorful superhero movies they can make, and it's led to the Avengers. It's like, whereas Nolan's Bat movies, when they started, were the way to go about it, Marvel have completely just shattered the curve and achieved success doing what nobody ever really thought they could successfully do in superhero movies. And now these Batman movies are just sitting over here, and they're like, we are dark and real. And I'm like, fucking the Avengers I'll be watching that, thanks. It's people going to fly in armor, and throwing shields around. That guy's going to shoot lightning out of his hammer at a big green rage monster. It's just, they're different companies, they're different types of film, but it's like, I'm kind of done with that. I've had 2 films of it. And this is where the excitement is over here. The Marvel side, as far as
I think a lot of the excitement that's gone is I just don't care for the villains. I'm getting Batman and Robin visions in my head, even though I know it's not going to be as bad as that, but I'm kind of getting like that. It's like, hey, we're at the bottom of the barrel, and we're picking these characters, and we're throwing them into the movie.
Do you think we're just over Nolan, maybe? I mean...
I don't think we're over Nolan. I don't think that's it. I think...
No, I just think there's... Ever since they announced this past movie, anything this movie does, it's on the news. Oh, look, she's finally got a costume, or look what...
Well, big shock there. It's Warner Brothers. They own half the media.
They talk way too much about it. People are getting hyped about it, and usually when you've got too much hype about something, you end up disappointed.
And it's just that it's a sequel to The Dark Knight, for God's sakes. That's not going to be successful. It's going to be compared to The Dark Knight. It's not going to go over it, though. It's going to be really hard to top.
I don't know. I just think the landscape of superhero films has changed very dramatically since Nolan's Batman movies started, and they haven't changed to accommodate it. And I want something different out of my superhero movies, and I'm getting it from Marvel, whereas The Dark Knight doesn't excite me.
You want a fun story. You want an interesting story, but you also want to have fun while watching it. You don't want to go and slit your wrist after you watch a Batman movie.
I want an Arkham City movie. That's what I want.
But the thing is, with The Dark Knight, with the Joker, it worked out for that, because that's what you wanted to see in the Joker, was that classic Joker. You wanted to get away from the Tim Burton stuff. And so I thought it worked out. But yeah, I agree with you. They need to, this being the last of the trilogy, who knows what might happen with Batman after this? So Adam West coming back? No.
I mean, well, and how there's rumors, or some of the rumors at least, I think, and some of the thinking is how far into Nightfall, is this going to go? I mean, it certainly seems to have some of the essence of Nightfall. I mean, do we think
if it follows a lot with Nightfall, I'll be really interested in it. But right now, that trailer is just not wowing me. It's just not got me for it.
The whole football field blowing up and Heinz Ward there?
Yeah, football field.
Come on. He's going to be in the Super Bowl.
Okay, well, let me just ask you, was that supposed to be Heinz Ward?
It was Heinz Ward. They filmed that scene at Heinz Stadium. My sister was there. She was actually somewhere in that crowd is my sister.
Well, I hope she's okay when that football field caved in.
I know. It's going to make it hard to play that game today.
Because they were showing that, and then he turned around and it said Ward on it. I'm like,
Yeah, they really did that. I think they really got them like those uniforms and stuff and had them, playing a game on the field.
Awesome.
So,
cool.
Anyway.
I did like that part of the trailer.
Yeah, I know. When I saw it, I was like, that's Heinz Ward. That's awesome.
And McFeely, he's an American footballer.
He's an American football player. He's very good. He's probably going to retire after this year. Anyway, so what else? Anything else comic book wise?
Yeah, well, we got Avengers versus X-Men was announced.
Was that? Yeah, I guess we didn't get to.
It was since we last
was
talked,
it?
I believe. I'm pretty sure it was.
It's kind of close. I think it was around.
I think we did talk about it. It seems like we did talk about it last time because I
really don't feel like we did.
I feel like
maybe we did.
I think we might have talked about it a little bit. Because I think it was teased. I don't think it was like full on.
Yeah, we may not have all the news that's out right now.
Like we've actually got comics that are coming out now that are lead-ins to it, right? I mean, because like that X thing.
Yeah. X thing.
Yeah.
What is it?
X Sanction, that Loeb and McGinnis.
Oh, yeah.
I hear
that
that's
thing
bad. I haven't read it, but I hear
Really?
it's bad.
I'm shocked.
What a shock!
I can't imagine that it would be bad with that writing. Yeah, I mean, huh?
Well, I guess if that happened last time, then nothing major.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of a low
everyone's
key.
just been on break.
End of year, you know.
Seems that way. End of year. Yeah, absolutely.
They've announced the Golden Globes, and surprisingly, none of the comic book movies really were nominated for anything.
Shock and awe.
Big surprise.
with that.
Yeah.
All right
guess what?
then.
Green Lantern for best movie.
Yeah, right.
No,
Best movie that what?
Best movie that used green this year. Well,
Yeah.
it might get it.
I don't know.
I like
Muppets
the
are a
one
big
better.
contender, you know.
The Muppets are a pretty big. Yeah, I forgot about the Muppets. Yeah, I forget Green Lantern. Muppets was better.
No, let me tell you about the
Muppets.
Muppets. The best cameo ever. If you guys haven't seen it yet,
I haven't
I
seen
haven't
it.
seen it yet.
Ah, yeah, I know. I'm like, no, I don't want to know.
Really? My
Because
God.
it's not out here until next
No,
month.
That's right.
It doesn't go to the UK
It's
till
not out
February.
until next month. What's
No.
wrong with you?
This
Second
is,
wrong.
this is payback for all those movies that they got early, you know.
What movie?
I was watching that thing before like Thanksgiving. What is up with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, international release. So, all right, well, let's do
No,
this
ever.
then.
Okay.
Let's talk
Okay.
about
Woohoo!
the year of 2011. So there's a lot of stuff that happened in 2011, comic book wise, event wise, different things. So we're gonna go down our best, but we're gonna recap maybe just a little bit, I guess, of the year. What were some of the events that existed, whether we think they were best or not? I mean, we had, of course, I mean, the one that we can't, you know, I guess we'll talk about up front. The one we can't miss is, you know, Flashpoint leading into the New 52.
Yeah. I mean, there's no point having a category for biggest news story because this is it.
That's
That's it.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're still. It's kind of interesting. I mean, even it still seems like, you know, now we're 5 issues in. I mean, at this point, for a lot of stuff, and it still doesn't. It's still kind of getting its thing. You know, it still seems like it's still kind of trying to, I don't know, get everything worked out. There's a lot of changes and stuff that are going on, but I don't dislike it. You know, I actually picked up the first the issues that are out for Detective Comics because I realized I don't know if I had, since we had last aired, I've started to play Arkham City.
Oh,
And,
do you like that?
Oh yeah.
Good.
I have half.
You
of the,
need to finish that, and then we need to talk about the ending of that game.
well, I played
because-
through the story mode.
Yeah.
All the way, I played all
Oh,
the way
so you
through.
finished it? Okay.
I finished the story mode. Yeah, I finished the story mode and was at 28% completion. Was like, well, damn.
You like skipped a lot of Riddler trophies, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't get Riddler. I was doing all that afterwards, so I'm still doing that now. I have like 220, I guess. I have like half of the Riddler trophies. But it got me thinking that it's like, you know, I really like Batman, and I'm not reading any Batman right now because I had been reading.
You should be getting the regular Batman book because I have to say between
Yeah.
the two, the Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo book is better. Detective's not bad. The first issue Detective was great. Then it kind of a little bit. I haven't read the newest issue, but the every issue of Batman's been great. The whole what is it called? The
Court
owls.
of Owls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff's been good. It's been really good.
That's what my shop said. And they said they're going to get me the set because I think they're sold out of everything on like 1 through whatever 4 or 5
What's
that's
sad
out.
is I have all of them and I have not read one of them yet.
And see, I haven't talked about any of these. I talked about Detective, but it's sad. I never got around to talking about Batman, and Batman's been great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Greg Capullo's
I want to
awesome.
read it. It's on my
It's like
pile
Bob
to read.
McFarlane's drawing Batman again. It's kind of awesome.
But
Yeah.
kind of getting, so I read that and it's still, like I said, it's good, but it just doesn't. I'm still not sure where, you know, and even Justice League is still trying to get itself figured out. So I don't know. The long term on it is still going to remain to be seen, and I think we'll.
Oh yeah, I mean things haven't settled down yet.
I'm really hoping
Well, for the month of November, DC have slipped back into second place again.
Yep.
which doesn't surprise me.
No, I mean they're still well up on where they were.
Oh yeah, which is good. I mean, it's great, you know, that they've got that. So, so we had Flashpoint, we had Fear Itself, we had Spider Island, we had what was going on end of year last year? I guess was
Nothing really. We were
Nothing,
kind of in an
yeah.
event dead zone.
When did Brightest Day end? Was that last year?
Bright-
That was
no,
last
Bright-
year.
Yeah,
Brightest Day was still happening. Yeah.
Yeah, we were still in
2011.
April.
Yeah.
Ended
Into
in
Brightest
April
Day.
this month.
Yeah.
So coming off of Blackest Night, so a lot of good stuff. So it was kind of an interesting
No, I
year.
think Brightest Day ended like in April because that's when they kind of introduced Swamp Thing. I remember we were thinking about that's what's going to happen with the reboot. So it might have been like April when it's
Yep, that's
Yeah,
April.
and then led into Flashpoint.
yeah.
So cool. All right. So let's get cracking. Where do we want to start this? I guess we'll go with
You're the boss.
Let's kind of go with some of these individual awards. So let's start with Best Artist. What are some of our nominations for Best Art? I don't know if this is a giveaway or not.
Well, I
Yeah.
had two because I couldn't decide between either. My two was Marcos Martin, of course, which was fantastic, and I can't not say J.H. Williams III because you would shoot me if I didn't. You know.
Yeah.
So it's one of those two. They both did a great job in like Marcos was in Amazing Spider-Man and he was in Daredevil, I think, and was he somewhere else? Did he maybe do backup for Fantastic Four? I can't
He was
remember.
probably in there somewhere.
Yeah.
He's probably in there somewhere. And they were all good. I mean, just like that one issue I kept thinking about where the Daredevil, where it's sort of explaining his powers, and he's kind of explaining the mission statement for the first issue of Daredevil, and he's kind of explaining the mission statement, and he's just kind of walking around the street. That's amazing looking.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in a comic. But then you got J.H. Williams, which, you know...
Yeah, that's almost... it's not that it's so... and J.H. Williams is pretty much my pick, mainly because I haven't been reading Daredevil, but I know I've seen a lot of... I know. Anyway.
Because you're going to be surprised when I say that Daredevil is my pick of best new series. And I'm going to argue for that one.
That's fine.
It may not be a new series, but I'm going to argue
series,
for
but
it.
just put it under best series, and then
I'm going to argue.
you'll be fine with that.
Yeah. It's
But-
not best series, it's best new series.
You know, Williams has a couple of different interesting things. One, because he's writing and doing the art. So I don't know if that's easier or not. I mean, in some ways, if you're doing the whole vision, I wonder how much, because he's able to sort of, he's co-writing, I guess, but, you're able to kind of get your whole vision down on the page. But I think for Marcos Martin, it's, he's doing a lot of collaboration work, with other writers and stuff. So and yet doing really, really amazing stuff and really interesting things. And I think that's maybe the defining point between both of those artists is that they're doing things that other artists aren't doing. They're doing things...
both of them have art that's like I've never seen anything like this in comics before, and it's amazing. Like other people are doing, it's like by the numbers. Hey, look, this is what we're doing, but just seeing that page in Daredevil, it was just amazing to look. It was great looking, and it was also interesting. It was interesting to follow the paths and what he's doing in the issue.
He had that similar spread in the Spider-Man funeral issue earlier this year as well. Marla Jameson's funeral. There was the double-page spread of every dead person Spider-Man had ever known. Very similar sort of thing.
Yeah. And didn't he do the issue of Spider-Man where it was after Johnny died, and they had all the different adventures with Future Foundation, and then there was one with the space station that never ends. Like you could see it connect, and like the space. Wasn't that Marcus Martin that did that? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, the space station. It just kept going and circling around and connecting, and you can follow the path, but it's like it never ends. It's like infinity or something. It's amazing.
Nicole, did you have any other?
I did. I actually put down Richard Elson for Journey into Mystery. He was the
I forgot about
nice.
that one.
Because I
pick.
loved when he first did it because oh my gosh, Loki looks so good and his style was great and there was a certain issue. Crap, it was this one.
So you're saying not Willis Portacio for Journey?
Yeah.
No. This issue right here especially won me over. Is issue 627.
The Mephisto issue.
Yeah, the Mephisto issue.
I'm not seeing your video on this end, so I'm guessing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone else can, but I can.
I thought he did such a great job bringing all the different expressions and just the details, and it wasn't like over detailed. I just liked how he just brought all the characters out. So yeah.
I mean, I've loved Richard Elson since I was 12 years old. So,
Yeah.
UK. I didn't even think of him for this year, no, because I was just, J.H. Williams or Marcos Martin.
Yeah.
Williams in particular is doing things in comics. It's like Martin has things that he does like within panels and the way panels flow together, but there's still a very recognizable. He's quite a sort of 60s retro with a sort of European slant.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Williams is just literally, if you think, I think I've used this phrase before, but if you think you know what a comic book page can look like, he's here to prove you wrong. Like, he's here to flip what you think a page can look like on its head completely. Whereas Martin is a bit more subtle in his manipulations of a traditional layout. Williams is just in your face.
Yeah, I think it's easily J.H. Williams. I think that Marcos Martin just deserved a nod too, because those were some fantastic art that he had done.
And I think to something that we have said though, I don't know that I want every comic to look the way J.H. Williams does it, but I would like for every creative team to think about their comic in the way of what is our medium and how can we present the story in a way that is unique to our medium. Because I think that's a danger that a lot of comics fall into, where they become like picture books, where it's literally like a writer tells a story and then the images are conveying the story with dialogue. Whereas when you read something that's like a J.H. Williams, or even some of the stuff that Marcos Martin does, they're really utilizing the medium as a tool for telling the story rather than just using it as a way of telling the story. So you get things like the four-dimensional elements that both Marcos Martin and J.H. Williams use. Being able to visually display 4 dimensions. And that's just something, you can't even really do that on film. I mean, film exists naturally within our world. Animation still sort of conforms to the same physical laws that film does, but without the physical limitations, I guess. But comics has that ability to convey meaning and story in a unique and interesting way. And that's my hope, is that maybe some more creative teams, because I think the writer has to be involved in that process as well.
Well, like Williams was still managing to do it even when Rucka was writing his stories in Detective Comics.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, I think it's one of those things where the writer has to be a little bit on board, though, because they have to be able to convey the story to the artist in ways that allows that story to be told that way. So anyway, I hope it becomes a trend. One thing I was going to give a nod to in our now defunct color section was, there's one thing that I've been sort of interested in, which is also what I would call like a more gritty style, where instead of trying to hide the fact that it's pencils and lines and things, there's some colorists and some art that is actually going for trying to like display that. Like some of the current issues of Ghost Rider, I think it was Swanger? Anyway. But it's basically, you can almost see the pencil lines, and the color becomes more of like a matte pencil or like color pencil style. Which sort of conveys it as art. I don't know, which I think is interesting as well. But anyway.
I think Doug Braithwaite's pencils on Journey into Mystery were done in the same way. I don't know who the colorist was, I'm afraid, but I don't think that was inked either.
Well,
yeah.
I've actually got a little story for my best colorist. So.
Okay.
I know this is kind of odd, but when I was at BotCon, I ran into Derek J. Wyatt, and he actually got the StunCon job before anyone else did. Well, since he's the creator of Transformers Animated. And it was funny to see because he was talking about how he interacted with the artists and the colorists, and he's like, oh, I want you to do some sparkly stuff, for Sentinel's cape. And he did it. And I gotta say, for an artist and a colorist to work well with the creator, and it comes out even better than the creator wants it, I gotta give kudos to Thomas Deere, because just he made the creator so happy for it. So there's my little story.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we get into the more difficult, perhaps, category. Best writer. Who are some of our nominations for best writer of the year?
Okay, there's not going to be any guess as to who I picked.
Okay.
I picked Dan Slott. And I've got a valid reason for why I picked Dan Slott, because I can't wait to read every single issue of Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
My God. I mean, I think this issue's great. Okay, well, my God, the next issue's probably better. Jesus, it keeps going. It never stops. It's like, it's like the snake, I guess, eating its tail or something. It's like a cycle. It's always going through it. He's awesome. I mean, he deserves. Maybe he's been writing Amazing for what now? It's been 3 years, 4.
Well, I mean, he's been the sole writer for a year now.
Yeah, I was gonna say sole writer for a year because he was co.
But he's been connected with it for a while now. But even though he still keeps finding new things to do, he can take things that are total crap, like stories about clones, and make it interesting.
Yeah.
And that's going to tie in with the best event also that I'm going to pick for this year.
No, I mean,
my pick is Dan Slott for best writer of the year.
Slott is a writer who has, like, nobody else that's been working on Spidey in probably, like, the last decade, seriously. Going back to the start of Straczynski, who has really been able to balance the comedy and the tragedy and the sheer determination. Like, the CBR, Comic Book Resources, did a best Dan Slott stories poll. They've been doing best top 10 for a lot of writers recently, but Slott actually chipped in with his own picks for his own best work, and his top pick was Matters of Life and Death, the 2-part story with Marla Jameson's funeral and the introduction of Massacre was his name, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that just reminded me again of something that I said when we reviewed it back then, which was how that story epitomized who and what Spider-Man is. That he gets knocked down, but he gets up again. It was that final scene when he's fighting Massacre. Massacre's like, well, I'm gonna do this, and then Spider's, but I have a counter for that, and it's just like, Spidey throws something out, Massacre counters it, Spidey's got something else, Massacre counters that, Spidey's got something else, Massacre counters that, Spidey's got the last final thing that wins the day. You knock him down, and he gets up again. And Slott is a writer who has got that. He sort of excels when it comes to the underdogs. I get knocked down, but I get up again was the central theme of Dan Slott's She-Hulk. The Chumbawamba song was actually a soundtrack. I'm not even joking. It played on She-Hulk's iPod in the comic. Like, she actually listened to the song and various key points in the storyline. Because
I remember her listening to Queen at least once, but
I think that was the launch of her second series. I think, if I remember, it's when
she was like jogging or something.
She gets ready to jog, she puts the iPod on, and it starts, I get knocked, and she's like, Jesus, is that still on there? And she cycles on to Queen.
That's hilarious.
Slott is a guy who excels with the underdogs, and I don't think it's any real surprise. Like, when you look at where he is now with Spidey and what he's doing, and the way he's been able to resonate with that character and make that character work so well under him, is all really an outgrowth of the underdog type of storytelling he did with She-Hulk, which was She-Hulk was the thing that put him. He'd worked in comics for 10 years prior to that, but She-Hulk was his big break, and it's that kind of storytelling, that gently funny but still, dramatically real tale of the underdog who never gives up, that is just, fully realized now in Spider-Man.
And I think it's important also to note that comedy is hard to do. I mean, comedy is real funny comedy is hard to do. Mm-hmm. And not only can he do the comedy, like you said, he can do the drama. I just picked up like the last issue of Spider Island and was just looking through it and the scene where Kane is having to wear Spider-Man's costume and Peter's having to pretend to be Peter Parker. So there's not two Peter Parkers when everybody comes in. And he's like, hey, MJ, guys, I'm just hanging with my pal Spidey. Say something. Walloping web snappers. And then he just laughed out loud. And I've already read this comic. And I just read it just a second ago. I mean, that's in a nutshell why he's a great writer, because he can do that. It's something I've already read, and I just read it a second ago, and it's like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
And not only, but like you said, because you have that laugh out loud moment, and it's not what, a few pages later, or even like the epilogue issue, and I'm like crying. I'm like, damn you, Dan Slott, because no surprise, Dan Slott is my pick for that, for at least for 2011 for sure. So Nicole, did you have another pick or I can depend on Nicole. She always.
Hey, I got
You got a
Go for
different
it,
pick as
McFeely.
well. All right, we'll come back to you.
Because I think McFeely might have one of the same ones I have
Okay.
a couple. So go for it, McFeely.
As
Sorry.
he's chewing, we caught
the
you.
Dorito.
We caught you.
never eat while podcasting.
Yeah.
Really thick burritos because they're good.
They're good.
Uh,
The endorsement deal sorted. Yeah, no, my pick for this year is, you might think I'm going to go for Jonathan Hickman. I'm pretty sure I voted for Jonathan Hickman last year. But I have to say, like, Hickman's FF this year has been in a kind of a setup phase that just wasn't as good as his Fantastic Four. Now, she'd be hitting the fan in FF right now,
Yeah.
but, you know, taking, like, as a year overall, like, it hasn't been the standout. No, definitely the standout for me this year has been Kieran Gillen.
Yep.
With
Yeah.
Journey into Mystery.
Journey.
yeah, that was a close
I mean-
second for me for sure.
Yeah, the things that, you know, he is. I mean, I've always known his name. He worked on Thor there last year. Yeah, it was last year around Siege time. And you know, he's been working in things for ages as well. But this is the one that, I don't know if this one's the one that's put him on the map. But hey, you know, he's writing Uncanny X-Men now, so that's definitely a bump up. Which comes, you know, whatever, just a couple of months after Journey into Mystery is the one that is the critical darling and well received. So, I mean, I haven't been buying Uncanny X-Men, but I've been keeping an eye on it, and I'm really enjoying what he's doing. This week's Uncanny X-Men is a single issue featuring the Phalanx, and it's a great single issue as well. No, you know, it just everything that Kieran Gillen is doing in Journey into Mystery, from with Kieran Gillen's Journey into Mystery gave me pause to stop and seriously consider what it is I like in fiction.
Wow.
Because I was trying to understand, this is a fantasy book full of magic and shit, and I don't typically like fantasy. I'm not a big fan of magic and swords and dragons and what have you. But it's the theme, it's the central theme of Journey into Mystery, the idea of the power of magic, the magic in words and stories that I have really enjoyed, and which upon reflecting realized I've found and enjoyed in various other fantasy type stories as well. You know, and it's led me to conclude, you know, certain things about what I enjoy in fiction, and it's made me understand a little better why I like the things I like, and it's surprisingly amusing. This wonderfully anachronistic twist of this collision of the oldest method of storytelling in the oral tradition and the newest, most modern method that is the internet, colliding and twisting around in a way that never feels awkward or pulls you out of the story in any way. And who would have thought that a series about a teenage version of a Thor villain would be as good as this is? You know, and that's me shying away and talking an awful lot more about just Journey into Mystery itself than about Gillen, but they are as one so far as I'm concerned. No, Kieran Gillen has definitely stolen it away for me this year. Journey into Mystery is the one I always wait for.
And Nicole, then any other?
Well, Kieran Gillen was one of the two that I put down, so he's in my top two. My other one, I know you guys aren't going to be surprised coming from me, but I'm having to give it to the team of Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because that's my comic book that I look forward to each month. I get excited for it because it brings out every single emotion in me. There's some funny things. I mean, this past issue was just filled with tons of emotions, and like number 4 actually made me shed a tear, and I'm like, I shouldn't be crying reading comic books. You know?
Man,
I do it all the time. Don't worry.
I've got like 2, 3, and 4 to read, so I don't need no spoilers. I just need to know it was good.
No. Like I said, this series from number 1 has just amazed me how well it is just. I mean, this is a classic, you know, most people know it from the 80s cartoon, but if you like that, you will like this. But if you don't know anything about the Turtles, you've got something that you'll probably like as well, because the story is so well written. The characters are developed so well, and it's just like, Yeah, that's my comic book that I look forward to each month, as well as Journey into History. So it's kind of like a toss-up between the two. So I'm glad you mentioned Kieran, so I can mention these guys.
So if we had to pick one of those, let's say, since a nomination across the board,
we don't need to come to a singular.
We don't really
need consensus.
There you go. We just throw them out there.
All right.
These are the guys. Don't tell the readers at home this is the one book you should be reading. Tell the readers at home here are half a dozen. Go and check them out.
Yeah.
Says the guy who hawks comics. Okay. Don't just buy one book, buy all the books.
Buy all the books.
Here,
Looking at all the comics I read this year, I pretty much did that.
That's what you did.
Yeah. That's what Nicole does every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris is like, why can't she be my customer? All right, well, let's skip down the list that I have here because I want to knock two out right quick because I don't know that we'll have a ton of votes either way. Best graphic novel. Anybody have a pick for that? I do not.
You're talking about an
picked
original
one.
graphic novel.
Original graphic novel, correct.
I don't know if this counts or not, but I picked one. I haven't read it because I didn't read any graphic novels.
So you picked something you haven't read?
No, just listen to me. Listen.
Okay.
Billy talked it up so much on one of the shows, and it's characters that I absolutely love. And as soon as I have money, I'm going to buy this just because of how much he talked it up. It's Teen Titans games. Because it sounds fantastic, and the art by George Perez from 20 years ago combined with, I guess, more modern art just to finish it. It sounds like the pick for me for best graphic novel.
Nothing really leaps out at me from the things I've read. I think Takio by Bendis was this year. It was quite good. Gingerbread Girl is not this year. The paperback just came out this year, I think. Teen Titans Games is the one that comes to mind. Yeah, so that's there haven't been a heck of a lot of original graphic novels. You know, the big two are not the companies you look to when you're looking for the original graphic novels. I mean, we had what do we have? Superman Earth 1 this year.
Yeah, but you got Superman. Yeah. We got Batman Earth 1 next year. So
that's coming up. We got Batman Noel was a couple of months ago too, which was all right. There was a Jonah Hex original graphic novel, but no, I mean I didn't read too many original graphics this year. So
cool.
Yeah.
I have one.
Okay, Nicole has one. I'm sorry.
I have one, and I didn't mention this on the show because it is a very graphic novel. Geez, and I didn't write down
ninjas and Michael Knight and any.
Well, actually, it's called Humpty Dumpty. It's a horror graphic novel. Basically,
I'm shocked.
Do you know anything about this?
I have no idea, but I'm just shocked that you read something that was horror that you're finding. Really
no,
good.
okay. Basically, just a little 2-sentence. Basically, it's a creature that was created by the raping of a gray alien and a, let's say, a mentally retarded human being. And
whoa.
Why is this the first we've heard of this? I don't remember this on an episode.
Well, if you say that person was also from the South, that's like a trifecta right there.
There you go. It is.
Okay, ding ding ding. We have a winner.
Bingo.
It's this creature that is conceived from this horrible thing and
hybrid is that?
Pretty much.
No,
But the thing,
different.
It's got a different way of thinking, and it pretty much, it's very graphic. Again.
Okay.
I didn't do it on the show before, but I gotta admit, it opened my eyes to a lot of creative writing.
Okay. We'll put that one on your list. What was it called?
Is Michael Knight in this?
Humpty Dumpty. Okay. So check out Humpty Dumpty, which is apparently one of our
you
two
have the
picks
stomach for it.
for best graphic
check
novel.
out the cover for it and be like, oh, okay.
For mature audiences only, it sounds.
Fair.
Okay, and best trade. What do we have for best? Anybody have a best trade? I do not as well.
And I have read so many trades.
Again, I didn't read this one. I've read some of it. I'm terrible at picking stuff I haven't read. But the best trade, I think it came out this year. It was the Batwoman trade. Was it this
Elegy.
year?
Was that this year? Well, it probably came out in paperback this year if it didn't come out in hardback. But I feel like it probably did.
I thought it was this year because didn't the original issues weren't they in 2010? Am I thinking right?
You're probably right. Well, no, hang on. I don't know. You're probably right. I mean, I'm sure it counts.
We'll go with it.
The paperback
I'm going with that.
this year, so yeah.
That sounds like a great pick. Let's go with that. Any good?
That in the corner is how many trades I read in the last
Lord.
4 months or so.
If you're not busy with that Devastator, you can go ahead and send that to me. That's fine.
Oh no, that box is in.
Oh, okay. You can send me. Feel free to send me the contents then.
He's there. You can see the green.
Oh, I do see some green in the background there.
Oh my gosh.
Very nice. So, for those of you without the access to video, that was a very large stack.
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know off the top of my head what I could pick. I definitely give an honorable mention to the first volume of Transformers Classics UK for the sheer amount of research work James Roberts put into writing the editorial material for a trade that goes above and beyond. That definitely gets the honorable mention. It would probably get more of a credit if the stories in it weren't 1980s wank. But I read the Black Ring collections. They were very good. Oh, Ozma of Oz. I think maybe Marvelous Land of Oz was in 2011 as well. Those
What
are
about those
always
Muppets? Were those Muppets?
well, those are magazines, but
Yeah,
those,
that's the same thing.
they're tight.
Those sounded really good.
Yeah, well, we've had the third one just came out there in the interim since we've last been on, which is okay, but it's definitely the weakest of the three so far. And I haven't read it yet, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the Teen Titans.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
How much did
Lord.
that cost you, by the way?
That cost me Christmas present.
Nice. That's the way to go with
That's
that.
the way to go.
Awesome. Okay. Well, like I said, we don't.
Let me tell you my favorite though.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I didn't really read a whole lot of trades.
She did so well. I'm expecting no one to have picks for these, and so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, I'd say that my best trade would have to go for the Transformers Prime because, man, it made a lot more sense going into the TV show after reading the Transformers Prime trade that came out actually before the single issues.
2010 then, wouldn't it?
Came out this year, didn't it?
Prime started in November 10.
Didn't it come out? Okay, never mind then. That's what I was looking at.
All right, cool. See.
I lost on that one.
All right. Well, anyway, that's fine.
I'm gonna look at this stack over here and see if there's anything I'm forgetting.
Good lord.
The Age of Reptiles collection came out. That was awesome.
I did buy a bunch of Fear Agent trades. I still have to read them, but I've read the first two, which I highly recommend. So.
I know I've got even old trades I picked up and haven't read yet, so I've got to get on that. That needs to be a goal of mine for 2012 is getting on the read some back stuff. So, okay.
Morning Glories Volume 1. Actually,
okay.
yeah, Morning Glories Volume 1 probably takes it.
There you go.
That just came out very early this year.
Awesome.
That's why I had to check. No, Nick Spencer's Morning Glories for Image is probably one of the best new concepts I read this year. So, yeah, that probably takes it for me.
You know, I go to scan the chat just to see if there's anything pertinent, and we're talking about Gokaiger, so I guess I guess the chat's covered. Anyway, seeing discussions
Opinions,
thoughts of Gokai Yellow is what I'm seeing.
Well, I pretty much shocked Amy with my reference to Humpty Dumpty.
Sure.
not too hard to.
They didn't mention Battle Chasers. Okay. So anyway, okay. Let's see. Next, I want to do some of these, not because I kind of want to end on some of the ones that we may have some more discussion on. But limited best mini or limited series. I'm going to give mine first, which is going to be Justice League International Generation Lost. I had a damn good time with that series, and it was really nice to see the Justice League International kind of has a reputation of being like the zany, slightly more zany version of the Justice League, and it was nice to see a series that seemed to have some weight and purpose. It didn't have a lot of connection to the other things that was going on around it since it was part of Brightest Day, but it was nice to see Booster in more of a group setting and seeing that character sort of, at least before New 52 changed everything, where he was, more of seen as a dependable leader type, something that he really hadn't been seen as, in particular in earlier iterations of the JLI. I think it took it just took the characters in some really interesting directions and things. So anyway, my pick, I'm sure that's no one else's, but Generation Lost, since I was like the only person reading that. Nicole.
Oh, let's see. I'm going to go with DC Presents Dead Man. It just finished off this past couple weeks since we were gone. And
Not technically a mini.
well, I'd say it was only 4 issues.
Well, yeah, but
it continues.
There is going to be a 5th issue.
Yeah, it's still.
And then it's going to be like a different cast or something, right?
That's what I'm going for.
That's your pick. Okay. Because that didn't even end. It's still not. I just read the most recent issue, and it's still not.
I know. So it's just like it was only supposed to be 4 or 5 issues. So technically, that's what I'm going for.
Well,
Or,
I wouldn't
okay,
blame
that doesn't
anybody.
work. I'll go for my second pick. I'll go for the Dark Tower's Little Sisters of Illyria.
That sounds
5
great.
issues.
That sounds good. Go with that.
There we
and then
go.
you can make an argument for that for new series. So
There you go. It's 5 issues.
okay,
and
Chris McFeely.
vampires. Is all
I had a hard time thinking, but both companies' marketing strategies has definitely been to scale back on minis. Marvel specifically in the last couple of months. DC really, aside from Flashpoint, we had nothing like Taskmaster or Loki or Osborn. Well, maybe an issue of Osborn came out at the early stage of this year. Maybe an issue or two. I suppose I'd give the nod to that based on those. Yeah, there's definitely been nothing quite on the caliber of those this year. I didn't read it, but I feel like I should vote for Flashpoint Batman Night of Vengeance.
Ooh, that's what I was going to pick. Damn it.
Well, I'll leave it to you to talk about it since I didn't buy and read it.
Because I didn't read anything, like any miniseries this year, and the only miniseries I actually read, it turns out, was the only miniseries from Flashpoint that was worth a damn to read.
Hell yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Man, I remember reading a bunch of stuff from Flashpoint, but I don't remember a whole lot of it.
And does that count? I mean, that's
Isn't
sort
that
of
sad?
event-ish, but
It was a
I
mini.
guess
It was 3
I guess we'll
issues.
leave it as many with.
I also
Nice.
kind of want to give a nod to Spider Island Cloak and Dagger, which was Nick Spencer and Emma Rios again. Emma Rios actually definitely gets like my honorable mention for best artist as well, because that's just to digress for a moment. She's somebody who's come along. She did a Doctor Strange miniseries with Mark Waid a couple of years ago, but she's barely recognizable as the same artist who drew that. She has evolved and improved so rapidly over such a short space of time. She's doing a crossover between Spidey and Daredevil over the next couple of weeks that I'm really looking forward to, purely based on her art. She does some great synthesis of art and I can't even really describe it, just like art and wording, and just creates some incredible vistas and mad conglomerated images. I kind of want to give like Cloak and Dagger the nod based on her art alone, but it wasn't really a mini, it was really just like the first of many ideas Nick Spencer clearly has for Cloak and Dagger, and it's only the beginning of a story that God knows if we'll see any more of it.
I wanted to finish that badly. I just didn't get the last couple issues. I've got like the first 2, and I liked it.
Yeah, well, it's
I
like
thought it was
everything
good.
from Spider Island was good.
Yeah.
Everything was.
That's what I'm going to pick up and trade this year.
Well, all of the that's actually something. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to events. Vengeance also probably definitely gets a nod from me. Joe Casey's Vengeance, which just wrapped up last week. I remember I talked about the first issue on the show. I don't think I talked about any of it subsequently, but that was a good miniseries about the young Masters of Evil and the young, what's their name, the Teen Brigade, carrying on Casey's theme that he's been working with in the small, quiet corners of the Marvel Universe over the last couple of years about the next generation of good and evil, and how the young people are really here to shake up the joint. But also going back to 15 years nearly, of little ideas that he had been putting in his Marvel works since the 90s, pulling them out of his work on Cable in the 90s, out of his last Defenders from like 5 or 6 years ago, from Zodiac, from Dark Reign that nobody remembers, just his Uncanny X-Men from the turn of the century there as well, and knitting them all together into this rather tremendous, massively overlooked miniseries that I would definitely recommend anybody pick up and trade if they're looking for something very different. It's hard to come to a definite conclusion, but I think Vengeance is tipping it out for this year. Yeah, Vengeance. Joe Casey's Vengeance.
Okay. Chris Triplet, then you said.
Batman Night of Vengeance, which, like I said, it was the only Flashpoint mini that was worth a damn. It was the only one I bought. I had apprehension going into it because it was written by Brian Azzarello, and I did not like Brian Azzarello's Batman story that he did a couple years ago. I just didn't care for it. But he kind of totally turned it around, and it probably kind of helped because I really liked this Batman in Flashpoint because he was crazy as hell, and he was, he was Thomas Wayne, of course, and it was turning, the whole idea that it wasn't, the parents that died, it was the son that died, and now, the father is, trying to, he's trying to, stop, this from happening to other people, I guess. But it was a good series, and I liked it. And McFillian, you said you haven't read it yet. You're wanting to read it.
I sort of kept abreast of it and kind of read it quickly as a retailer, just paying attention to it. Under came when I didn't buy and own it, but I don't need to read it again because I did experience enough of it through.
Yeah, I just didn't want to spoil it because there is a big spoiler in it.
Yeah.
At the end. But the ending was pretty good because basically it ends with Batman, Thomas Wayne. It's after the events. He's met Flash and he's helping Flash to fix things and everything. And he explains to a character, I'm not going to say who it is, so in case you guys want to read it, that he can fix things. He can make it so that Bruce can come back. And this character tells him to do it, even if it means that we both die. And I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say what happens, but it was really emotional and it was really good, and it made me like Brian Azzarello on Batman again, which was not a good thing I liked before. It really forced me into Wonder Woman too, because Wonder Woman I really love, and at first I wasn't sure because again Azzarello, I know people talk great things about him, but his Batman rubbed me the wrong way. But I've loved his Wonder Woman, and that miniseries I thought was good. It was the only thing worth a damn out of Flashpoint, honestly, and counting Flashpoint if you ask me.
Oh yeah. Well, that's going to be a hit and trade in I think March. Is
good. I want to get that.
It's either March or May. The Flashpoint minis are being collected in fairly large collections, but that's in Flashpoint featuring Batman, I think is the name of the trade. It's going to collect the other Batman themed minis like Flying Graysons and Shrug.
Sweet.
I don't know what else. Yeah. Some of them make sense. Some of them are a little bit more random as far as those collections go. But definitely, if you read one thing out of Flashpoint, Night of Vengeance is the one to read.
Thinking about New 52, it reminded me of a piece of news that I just remembered. We got a name for the cloaked lady.
Oh, I missed
We
that.
do?
Yeah,
We didn't get that.
Persephone.
Pandora.
Or Pandora, I'm sorry. You're right. Pandora.
Pandora?
See, I didn't have it right in front of me. That's
People don't want hooded women named after hungry old Greek broads.
Probably not. So, Pandora, yes, is, yeah.
Was that announced in an issue of one of the New 52?
They just announced it online.
Yeah, it
It's
was
just-
like on Twitter, and I think on their website. They just had a picture, and I think it was, I don't know who.
The Tiny Titans operating theory that she's ambush bugged.
Tiny Titans is awesome.
So, anyway, sorry, just shoehorning that in a bit, but
You think they'll do a Tiny Titans New 52 at the end of it? I'd love to see that.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Last issue, I'd love to see that.
Oh.
I wonder which character is going to get violently dismembered.
Okay, so let's see. So that takes care of Mini. Let's go ahead and knock out then, since we're sort of in that mode, best event.
I think you know what it is. I can tell you.
I don't think
You don't need to individually poll everybody for this.
best.
I think we're going to agree on this one.
1, 2, 3, Spider Island. Okay,
I
yeah.
didn't read it, so I can't say that.
Well,
My
then,
God.
yeah.
Spider Island.
yeah.
Spider Island art in hardback this week, Nicole. Get it?
I know. I'm going to because I feel like I've missed out on this.
Talk about a hands down, blow it out of the water, not even close.
Just
what
before
a-
we
what
start
a
talking about
horrible-
Spider Island,
Just think
let's
about
talk about
what
how
a
crap
horrible
everything
idea.
else was.
A horrible idea that Spider Island is. It
Yeah.
was, I mean, it seems like on paper, oh yeah, everybody in New York's gonna get spider powers.
Yeah. So bad
Hey.
idea. 1. Bad idea 2.
The major villain is the Jackal.
Bring back stuff. Let's bring back elements of the Clone Saga. Horrible idea.
Hey, there's this lady that was in Spectacular Spider-Man that was like the queen of spiders or something. We're gonna bring that shit back too.
Yeah, remember that whole thing where like Peter Parker gave birth to himself as a spider? Remember the villain from that? Yeah, let's bring that
This is
in.
a recipe for disaster.
I mean,
and guess what?
it
It was
was-
fantastic.
It was like it was a shit dough turned into like this god bread that was just like this most amazing event that just, I mean, typified everything that makes that Dan Slott has made Spider-Man, you know, his Spider-Man has been great because of.
That's just the thing, that the ultimate moral of Spider Island is exactly what we were saying before. It's the man, not the spider. That's the story of Peter Parker, you know, faced with the one thing that makes him unique, and the one thing that allows him to make a difference, taken away in essence, and you know he comes back. And it's his own intelligence and his own sense of determination and his own sense of responsibility that is what defines Spider-Man. And Spider Island is just the perfect, you know, total exemplification of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
there
it
is
is
real
intelligence
Doctor
that saves
Who-ish.
the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's that real Doctor Who-ish. It's kind of a pay. It is in essence. It's thematically related, I think, to matters of life and death, in that it is about saving everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody
I love-
dies on Peter Parker's watch, you know.
Yeah, like at the end of it, you know, he's like smiling with that equipment on his head to control Doc Ock's little robots, and MJ's like, "What in the world are you smiling about?" Just because I'm going to do it, and you get this big splash page, him smiling, "I'm going to save everybody," and he goes back, and he back to Marlo when Marlo got it. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is like probably the highest Spider-Man's gonna fly. We knew as high as he's gonna fly, he's gonna fall again. But you know what? He's gonna go back up again.
Right.
And that's
he's
what
gonna fall. He's gonna get back up. I mean, and it's not like he was completely unscathed out of it. I mean, as far as even the ending, I mean, ultimately, it cost him his relationship with Carly.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that is Spider-Man 101 right there.
yeah, it's got to cost you something, you know.
Forever, Spider-Man will keep me apart from the woman I loved. You know, that is total Spider-Man 101. But with the great flip on it being that I think must be for the first time he loses a woman, not because he has to keep the fact that he's Spider-Man from her, but because she finds out that he is Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not working with like the tropes of Spider-Man, but still managing to flip them around and give us something new at the same time.
And not only that, but not even that those 8 issues, the prologue to epilogue of Spider Island were great. But I didn't read a lot of them, but I mean the tie-ins for that were also, you know, very well reviewed.
There was not a duffer in the bunch. You know, Spider Island's trading method is absolutely fantastic. Out this week, Spider Island, hardback containing all 8 parts, plus the Deadly Foes one-shot, plus all the tie-in issues of Venom, which I think is great, because I remember while reading through Spider Island thinking, you know, when they collect this, they really should put these Venom parts in. And they have. And then you know what they're doing with everything else? 1 book. Everything else. 2 books.
Really?
Spider Island, the whole job.
That's awesome.
Oh my God,
That's the way to do it.
I kind of want that just to have a quick and easy reference.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's the best trade of 2012.
I mean,
Best
it's
at the end of 2011 makes best trade.
those are guaranteed purchases for Nicole right there.
I'm taking
Better be.
notes. next year's show, that is the best trade of 2012. That's already decided.
Right, it's done. We already have that noted down for next year.
Write that off for next year.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, at the same time, it's not like it had any competition.
No, I mean, again...
And you know, Flashpoint. We don't want to dwell on the
Infestation.
negative here, but...
I loved Infestation.
Infestation was all right. It was hardly on the par.
That's actually what I had down for my best event, because that's the one I actually enjoy. Zombies! It's zombies,
I don't want to be
man.
I don't want to be negative either, but I think it's worth noting that this came out at the same time as Marvel's major event, Fear Itself.
Fear Itself.
And
Yep.
my God, it was night and day difference. You would read Fear Itself, you would be disappointed. You would read Spider Island, you would
Fear
be
Itself
amazed at.
started out well.
Yeah, Fear Itself had a great start, but it just never put a foot right after that.
And-
the Central series was like a clip show telling you to go off and read all the tie-ins so you could see where the actual fighting was happening. There was no through line.
Mm-hmm.
There was no actual central exploration of any kind of theme of fear. It was just this muddled mess of hammers hitting people about the face.
Yeah.
And
even
Flash,
you know the down point. One of the things that we talked about, like Death of Bucky, you know, it turned out not to be, and there ended up being other things that you had to read beyond that.
You guys remember how pissed off I was when they killed Bucky?
Yeah.
Because it was such a terrible, offhanded thing in a bad comic. I think I talked about it on the show, didn't I? Just like I basically walked around the shop with my hands in the air holding the comic, cheering when it turned out Bucky was still alive, because there's one less fucking thing I have to remember happened in Fear Itself.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, because they virtually, you know, undid all that. Now I can't hear Chris Triplett. I don't know what's...
Yeah.
What happened was we didn't even know to read that issue to find out. I mean, like, I stopped at issue 7. I was done. I did not care anymore for Fear Itself. So I didn't read, 7.1? Is that the issue that we found
Point 1,
out?
point 2, point 3, all the way down the line.
The issues that would have actually maybe redeemed this godforsaken miniseries. And I didn't even read them because I didn't care. At that point, Marvel had beaten me to death with their stupid hammers that they gave me, stupid serpent people. I didn't care anymore at that point.
Yeah.
Spider Island,
See,
awesome.
Mine was Infestation, so...
Okay, so Nicole's vote is Infestation, the rest of us Spider
Island.
Well,
the thing is, with my Infestation, is it got me to start reading Star Trek comics and Ghostbusters. So.
And your Turtles are going to be in the next one, so...
Yes! And I can't wait!
So there's
well,
that.
You'll change your mind when you read Spider Island. It's okay. We'll just put it as...
I know it's awesome. I hear people talking about it all the time, but I personally haven't read it, so I couldn't vote for it. So
that's okay.
That's okay. I voted for several things I didn't read.
All right.
See, I know.
Here's where things get fun and loose here, because we're gonna go best series, best new series, and then single issue. So for those
trying
of you,
to define these is gonna be fun.
So for those of you following along at home, this is where we're going. All right.
I better get some energy from
the
Taggy Cheese brand Doritos.
I wish we were getting money for that.
Good.
All right. Best series. This is a series that is not new, and I think we defined last time.
This is that, what do we define as not new? I think just for the purposes of this, since so many
new series had to have come out in 2011, right?
Well, I think we should. To be fair, I think we should just count anything that was a number one, because the sheer number of them, referring mainly to the New 52 here, that were complete relaunches, vastly outweighs the number of ones that are just carrying on from where they left off, which was basically Green Lantern and Batman 2, really, Less so
Best New Series had a number 1 in 2011. Best Series did not. Is that fair?
No, but then how do we vote for Journey into Mystery?
Right,
which
because
carries on the numbering of Thor, but it's absolutely a new comic otherwise. But it's not actually like a new series, because Journey into Mystery goes back to the 50s. But it's very hard.
Okay, we're not going to set rules. I'm going to tell you what I liked, and you're going to tell me what you like. How about that?
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's. I'm not too worried about being too strict on it. So, best series. Start us off, Chris Triplett. What do you think?
It's no surprise. I picked Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
Because it's continually excellent every issue. With the exception of like a couple years ago when we got that crappy Joe Quesada story and then One Moment in Crap or whatever it was called. Every other issue's been exceptional.
Well, that was last year. That was last
year. But I'm just saying, like, you counting years before. It's not like, okay, this year is better or worse than last year. It's not like last year was better or worse than this year or the year before. It's consistently good, and I think that it deserves to be the best series because of that. Because they really work hard at making it a great comic, and Amazing Spider-Man was a pretty crappy comic a couple years ago. So,
I mean, there's a reason that they had.
And I love Spider-Man. I take it. I love this. But I can admit when the comic is crap. But no, this is the best Spider-Man I've ever read. I can say that hands down.
Nice. Nicole.
Best series? That's what we're doing. Not best new, right?
Yeah, best series.
Yep.
Best series. Well, I'm kind of with McFeely on this. Journey into Mystery. It's kind of on that edge, you know. But I'm going with it since it still has the number 622 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm saying Journey into Mystery is my best series of the year because I do look forward to that each month, if not more when they get out more. So. How can you not love Little Loki? He's awesome.
I love Little Loki. I'm going to recognize Little Loki in my next pick for my next pick.
I may be a bit, it may be a bit surprising. I actually am going for FF/Fantastic Four.
See, I really want to give that the vote this year, but I think
I think it was
year
last
alone.
I think if it weren't for
last year, just not this year, is my problem.
I think if it weren't for 600 for Fantastic Four 600, and then where it sort of has ended up, a lot of those things are now starting to pay off, and those little seeds. So I think
2012 it might be my pick.
Oh yeah, it could be back round again.
Yeah.
But for me, I like all the little seeds and the little things that have been going on, paying off things that happened before, and now we're starting to get into that payoff again. So I really like it. I'm interested in, especially now that we're seeing FFN and we're coming back into Fantastic Four. In particular, the Fantastic Four 600 was just wow. I mean, it was a great issue, and not on my pick for single issue, but it really kind of helped draw all of those pieces together, I think, and I think that's why I ended up with that as best series. So, Chris McFeely, what do you think, sir?
Well, because I find it very hard to define Journey into Mystery, I'm going to say Journey into Mystery sits directly between this category and the next one, so I get to have 3 across them instead of 2.
Okay, I see. Gotcha.
It's a new continuing series. It's right there in the middle. I already talked enough about it earlier anyway. So I think Avengers Academy has to take it for me.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
That's a book that has just consistently worked with great characters. Christos Gage, again, a very underrated writer, but he's just taken over X-Men Legacy now as well. You see these guys who are writing these underrated B-list books quietly tied in with major franchises like the Avengers, like Thor, moving over now to the X family when that family of books is in its biggest need for an injection of new life, and which it's getting too, because the X-Men are poised to be something to care about again in 2012. Now, Avengers Academy, a large portion of this year was tied into Fear itself, of course, and I think perhaps it's so supremely telling of the quality of Avengers Academy is that did not negatively affect it.
Right.
Seems true for Journey into Mystery as well. It's funny how those things are completely different ways. It's like Galen in Journey into Mystery takes Fear itself and improves the crossover by virtue of the nature of his story, whereas Gage with Avengers Academy takes the crossover and actually manages to use it to improve his story. It's a weird sort of opposite synthesis of how to work a crossover into your story. But it's just he was able to absorb the crossover into the direction and flow of where Avengers Academy was going and is always going, and make it feel completely natural and as a totally normal evolutionary and growing step in the lives of these characters, and something with more real tangible ramifications for Avengers Academy than for any other corner of the Marvel universe, with characters leaving and characters, Metal even in the most recent issue still working through the issues that Fear itself brought up in him, which have now been corrupted through his relationship with X-23 and Future Reptile. It's just stuff on stuff on stuff. What's the quote on the cover of the newest issue of Avengers Academy? I'm just reaching over to find it. A sterling example of the best of the genre, says, "Ain't it cool news?" And that's the absolute truth.
Yep.
It's exploring so many different facets of superhero culture, superhero storytelling, and tackling issues that you don't often see raised because they're such an integral part of superhero life. It's kind of like, it's like this weird rookie's eye view into the world of superheroes, but treated as the straightforward norm instead of like that one issue where somebody gets a rookie in, gets a rookie sidekick who decides they can't deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's almost a deconstruction of so many of the tropes and things that make up superhero stories that we don't think of too closely because they are so deeply ingrained in the medium. And then it's like we've got these 12 sets, 12 eyes, 6 sets of new eyes looking at this world that they've suddenly been thrust into and having to understand why people act the way they do and how superheroes deal with the incredible things and threats and emotional whirlwinds that they're put through that oftentimes don't make it onto the page because we're so numb to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's definitely. I'm just so happy that it's managed to survive this long because it was always a little bit in doubt as, new characters in a new book out of nowhere. But it's managed to survive the culling, and hopefully it can only grow from here as Marvel tightens up its brands and puts emphasis on the core franchises. Hopefully, more and more people will turn their eyes to Avengers Academy, and it can only continue to grow from here.
Yeah, I agree with everything you say because I picked it up in 2011, and now I'm getting it. Because you guys told me how awesome it was.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of concern, like when X-23 was going to come over, and it's like, ooh, is this going to become X-23 centric? And I don't think it has so far. I mean, we're two issues in, and
I mean, if this comic is perhaps one of the single best examples of anywhere in comics right now, it is how to balance a large cast.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that you've got your 6 young characters, which is up to 7 now, actually, 7 or 8, actually, with the addition of the new roster. You got your faculty in there as well: Tigra, Giant Man, Jocasta, Quicksilver. We've had Speedball and the Justice pass out earlier this year, and Hawkeye's joined now as well. Compare this with something like Bendis' Avengers, where it's one character takes the spotlight and everyone stands around in the background saying snarky things. Anybody who wants to write a team book, look at what Christos Gage is doing on Avengers Academy, because that is how it is done, son.
Yeah.
Yes.
Word. So awesome. I knew we'd be there's some more mix in there. I like that. So, here comes.
Like we get to the new series and everybody just votes for the other things that the other people just voted for in the previous.
Yeah. So here we go.
Can I get an in between like McFeely? Because I've actually got 3 books that I would like to vote for as new series.
They're going to be voting the same thing again.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of hard for me to narrow.
All right, you can vote. You can vote for something else that's a new series, but the rule is it can't be anything that's already been voted for under series.
Damn it.
That's what I did. I made sure I got to.
So, if it was already...
I definitely need in between something that's a new and best, because Journey into Mystery deserves a nod for me.
Well, then that's for series, and you're done. List. Okay. So it's not new series. All right, so let's get into it. New series. I'm just going to go ahead and call mine first. Amazing Spider-Man. Ultimate. Yes.
Okay, right.
Amazing Spider-Man, or not Amazing Spider-Man? Ultimate Spider-Man. Yes, sorry. No, I'm really enjoying that book. This the most recent issue just came out, and it's nice seeing this character develop, and similar to Peter and yet very different. Coming from a different world, coming from a different background, being shoved into a world he's really not ready for. I mean, when you think about Peter, you think about him being like young and being a hero, and then sort of becoming a hero and building that up. There wasn't necessarily a lot of foundation for him doing that. It wasn't like he was born into a world with tons of superheroes in it already. So he sort of was able to feel out what that was like as he was growing into the role. But for this character in this version, you're talking about a total fish out of water, where it's like, one day now you have powers, now you're Spider-Man. How do you do with it? How do you do that? How do you deal with that and deal with all of the other issues that are going on? So I think it's a really interesting series. I'm really enjoying the art, really enjoying, just seeing like a different take, a different not Peter Parker Spider-Man, and seeing how that's going to work out for that character. So That's my pick. Best new series. See, it's not. It's newish, but it's new. It's got.
It counts.
Well, no, I think you can definitely count. Miles Morales. Miles Morales is the character find of 2011.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know that
definitely.
guy's not. He's not just black fill-in Spider-Man anymore. You know that kid has got places to go now. Remember, we weren't sure. We were just worried about his parents when it started. We thought, we've got a good, solid introduction to his parents here. We've seen how their lives are shaped around him and what they've had to do to get him to where he is now. And then suddenly there's this curve where it's like Peter Parker is his Uncle Ben figure. I thought that was the best thing. Somebody he didn't even know. That's how empathic Miles Morales is. Like, it's he didn't even know him. It's not even. There's no. The personal guilt is like wholly imagined. Compared to Peter Parker, where it was like, as a chain of dominoes, sort of kinda his fault. Like Miles that's just the kind of kid this kid is. He blames himself, even though purely on a hypothetical.
Yeah, it's like because he's got his powers and got them in a similar way, and now he's trying to
if he'd had fire, maybe he could have made a difference.
He has powers. He can make a difference because Peter isn't there. Should he make the difference? And it's the guilt. It's the Spider-Man guilt, but it's a different type of Spider-Man
different.
guilt. It works.
Ever so slightly,
but it's not like Rodimus Prime guilt. It's a different.
No, because he didn't jump in there and push Peter into that truck.
Right. So I didn't. I wanted.
Miles is great. I think it was Dan Slott who said on Twitter that for the Spider-Man musical, like on every Tuesday and Thursday or something, or 2 out of every 5 shows, like they should get a black actor and they should just have it be Miles Morales.
I did see that.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. I mean, this is an opening up of something of a character who has potential to go on and be in films and cartoons and what have you. I mean, you have to question this Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon we're going to be getting now sometime this year.
I would love to see him in that. I hadn't thought about that until now, but it would be great to see him in there and see what they could do with him.
It's not going to be him, sadly, but because the cartoon's been in the works for so bloody long, it's just taken until now for it to happen, and plans have changed in the comics since then. But it'd be great. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would go for that. It's just a nice series. I love, and I guess little things that have paid off. There was speculation of whether his uncle was the Prowler or not, which he is. We know that now. So.
Yep.
So it's just good stuff. Anyway, I'm sorry. I take too long. Chris McFeely, what then is your pick for new series?
Daredevil. Oh my God, Daredevil.
Why do you keep picking my picks?
we are the smart ones. We have
okay, here we go.
Oh wow.
No, oh my God, Daredevil.
You guys
Seriously.
share the same name, so you guys must share the same way of thinking. So.
Yeah, that's it. It's interesting.
We're communicating.
I hope he's up there.
Get your stupid thoughts out of my head!
Wait, JD, which side of me is he on in the YouTube video?
That's a good question. He is above you. He is directly above you. Yes. So. Yeah. So,
that's gonna look really good, and I can't see it.
Get the Muppets and Pigs in Space out of my head! Out of my head!
Heartbreaking. Daredevil.
Okay, Daredevil, apparently.
I have never particularly cared for Daredevil because Grimdark has never been an area of comics I've been that bothered about getting interested in. I gave this a chance purely on the creative team, Mark Waid and Marcos Martin and Paulo Rivera, and I was not disappointed. We've talked. I think what have we talked about? Maybe 2 issues out of the 7 issues of Daredevil that have been released, if that many on the podcast, 2 or 3. This is the art is a huge part. We already talked about Marcos Martin's art, so we don't need to retread that. And Javier Pulido's doing the same sort of thing. Daredevil's radar sense is a gift to the artists, but it's Mark Waid's willingness to not throw out the last 10 years. I mean, everything Daredevil has lived in the shadow of Frank Miller, and in particular, over the last, I think it's about 10 years, Bendis, Brubaker, and Diggle, it's been Matt himself uses the phrase in the first issue, every time he thinks he's hit bottom, somebody throws him a spades and tells him to keep digging. It's darker, identities out, wife dead, cast aside, friend dead, anything and everything that could go wrong and bad from Matt Murdock has. So Wade's desire, willingness, ballsiness to just flip all that and say, no, fun times. And to bring back the bright colors and the swashbuckling to Daredevil. I think we said it when we reviewed the first issue. As somebody who hasn't read those specifically in any detail, I wouldn't have cared at all if he just said, just chucked it out the window and got on with it. But it's his respect for what has come before as well, and his ability to use that as a springboard to create a legitimately good reason for this new setting, which is that Matt he can't look back. He can't think about everything that he has gone through over the last however many years, because if he does, he will lose it. The weight of everything he has experienced will crush him. There is no yesterday. There is no tomorrow. He does not look to the future. He doesn't worry about what the future will bring. Right now, there is only now for Matt Murdock. He lives in the present, and because he does not let the weight of what has come before lean on him, and he does not fear, he does not have anything in the future to worry about because it just doesn't exist as far as he's concerned. That is how he is the man without fear.
He's a true man without fear, yeah.
What an amazing concept. What an amazing way to twist that tagline. And to just build an entirely new premise around that. And to just be so much fun. While at the same time have these... And it's the ideas that are going into Daredevil that make Daredevil versus Claw, the first story arc. The guy with the radar sense versus the master of sound.
Yeah.
Now, being his body is made out of solidified sound, which is such an anathema to Daredevil's way of perceiving things that he can't fight Claw because he doesn't.
I don't even understand why he's not his arch nemesis. When you think about it.
Think about it. And that's it. We've had a tremendous 7th issue there. And you know what the next story arc is? Daredevil versus Mole Man. 2 blind guys with radar senses. What is this? This is tremendous. This is amazing. These ideas that are so obvious in retrospect that you're like, why has nobody done this before? It is so good. And if you're not reading it, for the love of God, JD, read it.
Yeah, I got to redo my pull list. I might add it.
Wow.
Yeah, Nicole's not reading it either. Why isn't she getting fingers?
Because
I'm weird and I don't read
see your video.
Oh, okay.
I believe that the first hardback collection of the first 6 issues is due in the very near future. Anybody and everybody should check that out. I mean, as I say, it's hard to say it's the best news. I mean, it's just such a complete departure. It's hard not to consider it a new series, even though it's really just a relaunch. No, it was already going.
That's new. It's new. It's as new as Ultimate, Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, but that's a new character. But this might as well be a new character. Fantastic new premise right out of the old. Beautiful artwork, having so much fun experimenting with all the different ways to portray the strange sensory world of Daredevil. Stories that are so much pure fun, really almost Silver Agey without being camp, and yet still being like, it's like Mark Waid is one of those few writers who is having sheer joy in actually having a supervillain do something supervillainy.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the major, look at somebody like Bendis, where it is like you got one dude and then all supervillains are goons.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a trend away in general in Marvel Comics from supervillains actually trying to do anything super villainy. But then we look over at Uncanny X-Men the last couple of months, where we've got Mr. Sinister trying to rewriting all of the world's DNA into his own. Something hardcore Silver Age supervillain.
Yeah.
I miss that so much, and Daredevil is this wonderful island, this little middle ground floating between modern storytelling sensibility, with just that little edge of wonderful character depth and this potential for darkness that drives the story forward, but which never overwhelms the sheer imaginativeness and the sheer willingness to have fun with a character who has not been about that for so long. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Read Daredevil. Just
Yes.
All right.
coming up.
All right. Nicole, then, did you see new?
Well, my favorite new series, if you guys have listened to me for the past
I think I know what it
4 months.
is.
I wonder.
I wonder what it is.
I wonder.
I'm sorry, but it's going to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles yet again.
Shocking.
Because I know I talk about the series a lot, and there's a reason why I do. It's because I know I was going to like this series because of the nostalgia reason. But this series also, it appeals to the child inside me still, and it brings my adult fan into it as well. There's just so much going on. You get so involved with these characters. And you get so emotionally tied, and
I like the twist on the origin too, because like I know the origin.
Yes.
Now the origin's a little bit different and everything, and it's kind of neat just to see how modernized and the fact that you've got the guy that wrote it originally, it legitimizes it. It makes it like, oh, this isn't just some guy off the street. This is the actual guy who created them.
And I think that's wonderful as well. Now, talking about the origin, you haven't read number 5 yet.
I've not. I need to read them.
And it goes back to the origin. Oh, I can't say anything. Okay. But it's just awesome. Number 5, it's great because it extends that origin into something that makes sense. It's not like what the movie did, you know. The movie was fun back in the day, but this actually gives you some in-depth of why are these characters so involved and how are they growing, and it kind of has a little Christmas twist to it. It is,
it's a good pick.
Nice.
Well, that's a good pick for new series.
Because there's something in this last issue that's just like, oh, I want to talk to someone about it, but I can't. And I love having that feeling each and every month, and I don't want that time to come when I get that 1 month. It's just like, oh. But I haven't yet, and that's what amazes me about it. 5 issues, 2 little spotlight series, and all 7 are amazing.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, Chris Triplett. Any others that you're picking that hasn't been picked before?
I can't pick Journey into Mystery, so it goes into my new series, best series pile, which we created.
Okay.
I want to pick like a little nod to Wolverine and the X-Men because it's a great book. I didn't pick it as my best new series, but it came close. It's the second best, I think, because it's very good. It brings the fun back to X-Men. It's everything I want in an X-Men book that's not been there in years. But yeah, everything McFeely said, Daredevil, it's amazing. Again, because Daredevil, last time I quit buying the book, it was like when Bendis' run ended, and that's been how many years back? Didn't care nothing for Daredevil. Was done with it. It had gotten to the point where it wasn't entertaining anymore. But the cover of the first issue is him covering his eyes and smiling. You know you're in for something different. In my God, a mob wedding where the Spot's killing somebody. For God's sake.
That's even one of the best covers of the year.
No. But from like the first issue up to the newest issue, it's fantastic. You know how I said Amazing Spider-Man, every issue's great, and it's like one of the first comics I have to read. Daredevil's the second comic I read.
Cool.
It's probably my second best favorite comic right now, right behind Amazing Spider-Man. Yes.
Believe me, if you had said to me 6 months ago that I would be sitting here trying to convince people to read Daredevil, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah. I think once they had announced the creative team on it, I think we were, definitely our interest had been piqued.
I think the tremendous irony is my boss is actually one of the biggest Daredevil fans I know, because I never really knew anybody who considers Daredevil his favorite superhero. He hasn't read it yet, and he really doesn't want to read it because he's not interested in a fun Daredevil.
Wow.
Wow.
He wants a grimdark Daredevil. I'm constantly at him to read it, but he hasn't. I've held the issue out in front of him. Read that, would you? And he's taken it from me. He's turned it. He's held up the cover. He's pointed at Wade's name, and he said, "They've misspelled Brubaker there."
You need to read the newest issue. The new issue is fun, but that story, it's dark too. You know, I mean, it's
totally.
So maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs that balance. Because like when he like Daredevil yells at the kids and then he realizes what he's doing, and then he's like, "Oh, everything's okay," and he's smiling. You know? It's great.
Cool.
But yeah, Daredevil, best new series.
All right. Let's see how unified.
Just before we move on, I think it's worth pointing out. It's interesting. See how we didn't pick anything from the New 52?
Huh. Funny how that is.
I
think it's
close. I came close to voting for Animal Man because I do like that one, but
I thought about Wonder Woman. I thought about Swamp Thing, but then I thought, no, it's Daredevil. Without even thinking, it's Daredevil, and also, who the hell thought Wolverine and the X-Men would be good? My God.
I think
it's just curious for being the biggest.
If there's a what the fuck award for this year, Wolverine and the X-Men. We should create an award just so that it gets an award. Because I mean, what the hell? This book's good.
What is Wolverine and the X-Men doing? Being fun.
Hey, fun. See, that's what we want. We want fun, happy times. No, I think as far as the New 52 thing goes, I just think it's too. The jury's still out. I think it's hard. It's not that these series aren't good, and it's not that they aren't things that I'm excited and interested in reading every month. But it's like the jury's still a little out.
Well, we can talk about what the best that we thought of the reboot was, of the 52 reboot, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just really interesting that despite being the biggest bit of news and some of the biggest, highest-selling comics of the year, they just don't even enter into it.
Yeah, I think that's why it's like.
I mean, I would still put Action Man.
Wow.
I would still put Action Comics in my top 10.
Especially that most recent issue, which was pretty good.
Great. I mean, isn't that exactly what we were saying back when it started? We've had our 1930s early capitalist Superman. Now here we are, 1950s crazy sci-fi kooky stuff happening in Superman Legion.
Yeah. And already we're getting like the little Morrison pays off. It's like, what was the creature in the rocket and stuff?
Like the ghost dog.
Yeah.
The ghost dog. Yeah.
The ghost dog. Yeah.
Find out what that stuff is. And people were wondering because this is just like a two-parter penciled by Andy Kubert, dropped into the middle of an ongoing story. And people were like, what is going on? Is this happening because Rags Morales can't keep up? Are they just... And I'm still actually quite unclear if that is the case or not. If they've just dropped this two-parter in because Morales can't keep up and they don't want to have a big break in art style for this story of Brainiac and the miniaturizing of Metropolis or not. But it doesn't matter because this feels like now is the time for this bit to happen, you know?
Yeah, it feels natural. It doesn't feel like, like the Batgirl issue when Nightwing showed up out of nowhere. Yeah. That didn't feel natural. Right. This feels natural putting this in.
Yeah, I was totally fine with it.
Just like there's something. It's not like Superman is doing something where he shouldn't be. Like this is a look at another time.
Yeah.
And but it is also very much building this new backstory for Superman with a whole new origin for the Fortress of Solitude. Right. And the first appearances and showing us presumably how he first came into contact with the Legion of Superheroes. And a great backup story with Ma and Pa Kent as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
It was very good.
Yeah,
so if we're going to create a little award that says, like, new DC book, it should have got no award, but didn't because we didn't have time to fit it in, it's Action Comics.
Yeah, we'll throw Action in there. Sounds good to me.
Gets the nod as well, mainly on art alone. Art carries Batwoman, but Action Comics, again, because it's having the balls to truly reinvent.
Yeah.
This is not like, well, Batman and Green Lantern just basically carry on from wherever, and then there's some other ones where they've basically just changed their costume and not really done anything new or different with them. And then there's things like Firestorm, where it's like Ultimate Firestorm, and it's just kind of off, But Action Comics is the one where you can feel the writer's love for what he's doing just coming at you off it. It's definitely top 10, maybe even top 5 material for me. But there's well, thought we better draw attention to the New 52 in some regard.
Exactly, and I think that's a good one to point. It should be reading Action Comics. So, okay. This is it. This is the last one. This is our pick for the best single issue.
Uh-oh.
2011. Now, I'm interested to see how unified we are on this. So,
I have two.
You have two?
I really have a couple, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard to really.
I had two that I had to pick. That I had to at least say, like, well, if I pick this one, then I have to give a nod to this other one. Is what I had to do.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Nicole, then why don't you go ahead and start us off? Since you did all your homework, you get to go first.
I did all my homework. Okay, this is a very random pick for me because actually it came down to one splash page that won this favorite single issue of the year, and that was Infant Station Ghostbusters #2.
Okay, you're a
Why?
fan. And you're wrong.
Know
Okay.
why? Know why? No, 3 words. Zombie Stay Puft. Woohoo!
That's really good. You still lose.
Okay,
Okay.
I give up. The WTF award goes to that, not Wolverine and X. You know.
Yeah.
There was nothing this year that made me cheer out loud than when I turned that page and I saw that image and it was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome! Yes, I has to go just for that single splash page.
Okay. And what was it? What was it? Contention between? Did you have another?
I was thinking G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, the first issue that came out in January where they actually killed off Cobra Commander.
You should talk to IDW. I bet you could get
I'm sorry.
like an endorsement
We
deal
should've been there.
with
The
them.
event to actually
It
find
pays great.
Well, the thing is, and to know who actually killed Cobra Commander, you're like, oh, really? Nice. So, yeah, it was both of those events. And, of course, they had it at the beginning of the year. But, like I said, it was that single splash page that sold the whole year for me.
Okay. Chris Triplett.
It came down between two comics and Secret Six #36, the last issue, because
Ditto.
it was so emotional, and Daredevil #1. So it's one of those two for me. I kind of want to say Daredevil #1 because I was done with Daredevil, and Daredevil #1 was fantastic. If you haven't read it, you should read it. So I'm leaning more towards Daredevil with a nod to Secret Six #36 because something Secret Six should get an award because my God, everything came to that issue. This is it. We're done, and all the characters getting their due, and
just absolutely note perfect as a finale.
Yeah.
The Butch and Sundance ending, but going that one step further to show you that we might take a few of these guys down. No, we didn't.
Nope.
Because they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
And it's that wonderful lesson Secret Six was always able to sort of subvert you into forgetting, was that, these are not nice people. And every bad thing that happens to them, they have earned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're dumb enough to find themselves in these situations. This is not desperation and their own bad. This is their fault that they are where they are.
And it's so...
And they themselves are completely unapologetic of that fact. They know that they are where they are because of who they are and the decisions that they've made. And still, they charge out a window, hyped up on Venom, and face off against the entire superhero community. Because what else could the Secret Six ever do but that?
Mm-hmm.
What else could that group of broken people do but make the worst choice?
Yeah. Well, and I think... one thing that's nice is that it's so common that things get canceled so quickly that writers don't really have a chance to sort of, put that button on their story.
Yeah, you don't get you don't get some resolution to all the characters and what they've done, and I felt like I got a lot of good resolution with that issue. I really enjoyed it, and it was one of the hardest issues for me to read, but it was also an issue I was looking forward to the most.
I think the fact that. And I think now a few months, several months later now.
Now that the hurt is a little dull.
Now that the hurt is a little bit gone, I think I do feel like closure.
Mm-hmm.
It's that thing where it's like the series is gone, and I miss it. Yeah, I'd still love to be reading it, but I don't feel like it got ripped off. I don't feel like it got screwed over, and I think it's because of that issue. It is because of that issue that I feel that way. I feel like it got to end in a really good, really respectful way, and it was touching. I cried. so what? But it was just really good, and I kept coming back to that. I could not, I really didn't have anything else in my mind.
Yeah, I tried to find an issue of Amazing Spider-Man. I really considered 672, the end of Spider Island, because that was a good issue.
It was good.
I
I cried with that too.
It was really, really good.
Maybe the second part of, no, the first part of the death. Better to Life and Death.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah, that was a really good one too.
The Johnny issue as well.
Yeah,
but
there was some good stuff. But
what comics did I enjoy the most? And I had like two thoughts. I had this comic made me sad. This comic made me happy. Daredevil made me very happy. Secret Six made me sad. So if I had to pick two, I leaned a little bit more towards Daredevil just because there's no way in hell. My expectations for Secret Six were, this is going to be good. She's going to give me a good resolution. Daredevil, I wasn't so sure, but Daredevil was fantastic. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards Daredevil. So my pick's Daredevil with a nod to Secret Six, number 36.
Yeah, so Secret Six, that's easy. I think that's pretty good. So Chris McFeely, anything other than...
Well, I had to look up and check. It actually came out in December of 2010, so I can't vote for the Reverse Flash Origin issue.
Ooh, that was a good one.
That was probably the best of 2010.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we did or not, but we should have if that wasn't it. Yeah. I had to check. Well, it's like there's those Spider-Man issues I listed off. You had the death issue of FF as well, or rather the funeral issue of FF, which came out in the same week as the funeral issue of Fantastic Four, Amazing Spider-Man, as we recall. But I don't know if it's just because they're fresher in my minds. But for sheer amounts of stuff packed into one issue, be they standalone or just one issue, the issue 7 of Daredevil,
very good issue, yeah.
Either issue 600 of Fantastic Four, but really I kind of want to vote. We haven't talked about it because it came out since we were last on. Issue 601 of Fantastic Four. And I'll tell you for why with Fantastic Four, because I have it here in my hand. Issue 600 ends with, it's the invasion's coming, the Annihilation Wave's pounding on the gate, the Kree are bombarding the planet, times are bad, and it ends with Johnny Storm back. But it ends with Johnny Storm coming back. This issue, Johnny Storm is back! Hold my Annihilus. There's something I need to do.
Oh my god. I literally, just so I could talk to someone about that, I explained it to my wife just so I could say, and then he said, hold my Annihilus.
But, there's something I need to do. Then we cut to a page of Iron Man looking up at this guy going, is that? And Sue starts crying, covers her mouth. Oh my god. The Sentinels notice something. The Thing looks up and just goes, oh. And you turn them, and I knew what it was going to be before I turned the page, but I turned that page and blazing larger than life in the sky, the Fantastic Four signal. Johnny has burned it there. The Fantastic Four are back, and that moment alone is almost enough to completely steal the issue away. There's nothing like that in issue 600. But then it don't even stop there. The next page, the next scene is Thing. The Thing is looking up, crying, and he says, "Ain't that something?" But he's still surrounded by these Kree robots, and he's been ready to give up and call it in because he's got nothing left in him. Commence termination, complete, and proceed to supplementary target. Warning, revising threat matrix. Primary target increasing resilience as the Thing starts to get back up again. Calculating task completion. Calculating. Report amended temporal schedule. Report amended temporal schedule? That's some kind of robot way of asking what time it is. Well, let me help you with that. Oh, yeah! Yep. He said it! That's right. I'm pretty sure that is the first time Ben has said that since Johnny died.
I think so. Yeah.
Probably.
It is like, it's not, Johnny's not the only one back this issue. Ben is back too.
Yeah.
And, that, I was going to say...
I think that tells you that what's going to be like the best series of next year is going to be Fantastic Four. I think that this is like preliminary telling us, oh my god, Fantastic Four is going to be awesome this year. We
were talking earlier about the end of Spider Island, and it was like that one great moment. I didn't say I was going to say, it's like Spider-Man, whenever you see Dan Slott's Spider-Man triumphing over the odds and pulling up that last little thing he has left inside him to win the day, you do want to stand up and cheer.
Yeah.
But oh my God, did I want to stand up and cheer when Ben got it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that was awesome.
That's not even halfway through the issue when it turns out, hey, Johnny Storm's got the entire freaking Annihilation Wave at his command. And then the Inhumans flying Citadel go into a fucking laser blasting space battle with the Kree Armada. I mean, my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
As good as 600 was, issue 601 is like, this is where we've been going. This is what it's all been.
It was good. I remember that one.
That's my Annihilus.
Pounding, action-packing, heart-thumping, right laser beam into the brain. This is what I want, you know. And then it's like, well, like Triplet says, happy and sad. It's not like Daredevil 7 made me sad, but it's a whole different sense of reaction I have. Because this is a single standalone issue. This is actually a done-in-one story. When did you last see one of those? In which Matt Murdock takes a school trip, a school for the blind, a group of blind children, out on a ski trip. But they have a bus accident on the way, and because they're trapped in a blizzard, and Matt's radar sense is virtually useless.
Oh yeah, because like he sees every snowflake and it's like a haze or something, and he can't see nothing.
Just a wall in front of him. His radar.
It's just a wall in front of him. Yeah.
No. So it is a case of the blind leading the blind through. You know, it's just a little hillside. It's nothing truly horrible. It's nothing that a fully sighted person couldn't actually make it through. But you really feel the incredible desperation that is happening here. It's a look into the world of Matt Murdock when he's hindered. I don't want to say crippled because that, bad connotation, but in a way that the full extent of his own disability that he never has to actually deal with is, and he has to deal with children, It's but they don't even know they've got Daredevil leading them along because they can't see him.
His suit's falling apart and he has his costume underneath it, and they can't see it. They don't know that Daredevil's leading them,
And the kids are fighting amongst them. These are just ordinary children thrust into this. Like they don't know what to do. They're just doing what he says. His leg is injured, so he can barely walk himself.
Yeah.
And these are children who are fighting and arguing amongst themselves as he go, and it's like, shut up or I'll turn this thing right around. No, not in this case. There is this fantastic thing. They start fighting amongst each other. One of the kids accidentally wanders away, and he's literally like 3 feet off in the other direction. But as far as these people are concerned, that could be 100 miles for all their ability to find him is. And they start. One of them says, "Oh, he shoved him. I heard him. He says he's too slow. He's pushed him." And then he gives, you get the real huddled down speech. I don't want to hear that. No fighting. If Creighton's being a bully, that just means he's more scared than you. I know this is scary. You're hungry and cold and you want to give up, but you can't turn on each other, not now. Show me how brave you can be by pulling together. Do it for me. Better yet, do it for each other. That is the trick. Because when you reach out and when you extend yourself for other people, that's when you are without fear.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I love the thing where he's leading them, and then their heart rates, and he knows that they're scared. And then he has to start talking to them, and that's where you get the fun stuff. He's like, "Oh, it's gonna be okay," and all this.
It's like there's blatant lying,
Yeah.
It's wonderful things, just like these silhouettes in the pink haze as the heartbeats flare all across him. That wonderful. Who drew this issue? Was it Javier Pulido? No, Paulo Rivera. Sorry, I always mixed them up. Paulo Rivera.
He's like asking them what they want for Christmas, and then they know something's wrong with him because they're like, "Mr. Murdoch, are you limping? It sounds like you're limping." "No, I'm not limping. Justin, come on, Justin. Trains, model, and clay. What do you want for Christmas?"
And there's they hear a car. And to them, it's like there's a barn there, there's a house, there's a car, there's people. They're not more than a couple hundred yards away. We can see it in the panel, but they don't know this. They don't know where anything is, and this sudden chaos that descends in a singular panel. When
he gets them to start screaming for help,
calling for help, and it says run as fast as you can, follow me and run. It's like they can't do that. They just everything just scatters, and then even Daredevil's veneer of control is just totally lost as he just makes a mad break for it. And in the end, it turns around that it is the kids managed to pull themselves together and save him.
Yeah.
It's just the perfect done in one story, which ends with a great little twist as well, which makes it very
you
interesting.
need to get that Daredevil fan to read this, because maybe this is the issue that gets him.
No,
maybe it's this issue.
I don't know if it's just because it's rawer and fresher in my mind because it's just come out. And it's basically a Christmas-themed issue as well. Marvel did some very good Christmas issues this year. But definitely it and Fantastic Four, just from the last 2 weeks, I think it's because we had to go through so much of a drudge this year with Fear itself dominating nearly everything, that now that we're out of its grip, these two in particular stood out as just some of the best.
Cool.
It's really good.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, apparently I need to read Daredevil. So,
yes.
Apparently I do too.
Drop Firestorm, add Daredevil. Gonna add Batman as well.
Yes.
So all in all, though, I think
I'll set you right eventually.
Yeah, thanks. No, but I think the one nice thing is the reason that I like to hold up the stuff that's good on this show is I do see it as a vehicle for communicating things that we think are of quality. And I don't like to spend a lot of time on things that are too bad. But I
doubt the listeners have found any great surprises in our picks for this year, to be honest.
No, I mean maybe in who picked what, but not necessarily in the picks that we have.
I think it surprised everyone with Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, that's shocked me.
Yes.
But I hope that my hope is that we can kind of hold up the good stuff. I want to be sort of a champion for the good stuff, and not always the good stuff that other people are holding up. I mean, you notice we're talking about things that aren't like some of the things that we're talking about aren't the things that necessarily Mainline is talking about, in particular things like Avengers Academy and stuff. We're talking about stuff that's good, not that's getting a lot of PR. So 2011, great year, good year of comics, a lot of good stuff in there. Even for things that we may complain about, obviously we found plenty of things to talk about that came out of 2011. So I am very much looking forward to 2012. I think it's going to be a good year. Like I said, hopefully these New 52 will grow into some really good series. I think there's a lot of potential there. Like I said,
is there any one thing that we're looking forward to in 2012? Like, are we looking forward to X-Men versus Avengers? Is that something we're
cautiously?
Yeah, I think cautiously. I think that Fear itself burned me so much that I'll say cautious. But I think, like Chris McFeely said, I think that X-Men is on the verge of a new, sort of like a new world where they have that ability. They may see some new light, some new hope.
Yeah, I get 2 X-Men books now, and they are good. I'm surprised. I can't believe I'm telling you this.
Do I get props for that?
I got a question for you.
That X-Men might have some hope in 2012. Okay.
Well, Triplet asked something before we recorded this. Did you want to talk about what our favorite comic book movie was?
Oh, for me, it's easy. X-Men First Class. That was the best.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way. Hands down, that's it. There's no discussion.
And it was, again, another WTF award to X-Men First Class. Did anybody expect that to be the best movie? No.
Well, mind you, I did just get Captain America on Blu-ray there finally last week, and it has actually knocked Thor down a peg.
No, I still say Thor's my favorite.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, I applaud.
It's just a little bit higher than Cap on my list, but X-Men First Class, it's no question.
But JD, what was your favorite?
Yeah, it's gotta be First Class. No, there's no question. No. Not even no competition. So, but definitely looking forward to 2012. I think we've got some good series coming up. I think that, like I said, some of these New 52 are going to grow into some good stuff.
It's going to be a very interesting year because now it is going to be. This is our, we've had it for just a month or two really, but now it's going to really settle in with Marvel as their new tight focused attempt at growing their core brands and dialing back on the C and D list brands. Shying away from miniseries and things. The word is that Avengers versus X-Men. We're really just going to be expecting to see tie-ins in the core books. We're not going to be flooded with minis for our event this year. It's a tighter publishing system. The New 52 will really the tale will be told now in the opening months of this year, I think, as to where we can expect that to go. And digital distribution is definitely going to be the hot button topic for this year, I think, with the sudden changes that a lot of DC went day and day, and Marvel are doing it as well. Dark Horse have done it, IDW, so everybody's done it at this stage. And
I will be reading a lot more digital comics this year because I have a Kindle Fire.
I am going to get one. It is within the next few months. I will. I got
one for Christmas, and Comixology and Kindle Fire is the best thing ever. I'll tell you that.
I don't see myself ever making the switch, but definitely just from where we are now, and with some of the issues that are arising and the debates that are happening, definitely going into 2012, that is the topic to keep an eye on, I think.
So.
Yep. See what happens.
There's going to be a lot of good stuff. It's going to be really interesting. I'm excited for 2012. So that's it. That's our best of 2011.
Let us know if you agree.
Yeah, if you agree, disagree, let us know. We love feedback. Yeah. I realize that we've missed 3 weeks worth of comics at this point. So hopefully,
I got a huge stack to read.
I know. I literally read everything. I went through everything yesterday, I guess. I sat down as my wife was playing.
I've read maybe 3 comics of the last 3 weeks, and it was Avengers Academy, and it was Action Comics, and I think that's it.
Well, you're reading the right one.
I'm reading the right one.
I've been playing Arkham City. My wife and I actually both play, so we trade off and take turns and stuff. And I now have a new goal for the next month for myself as well. Is I want to work the phrase in. I think I need the grapnel boost into regular conversation at some point. For something about that phrase from the game, just.
So no more Friends reference for 2012.
No. It's all Arkham City.
Arkham City.
It's all Arkham City quotes from here on out. So
I wouldn't complain if we worked in Hold My Annihilus into our conversation.
Oh my God! Yes, yes. Hold My Annihilus. I about fell over. I could not.
Hold My Annihilus while I get the Ustream working.
Right. Nicole,
hey,
hold
no
My
technical
Annihilus.
issues today.
Right.
Hold My Annihilus. I cheer that we didn't have any technical issues this week.
Yeah, we did good. Hey. No tech issues. This is hopefully the start of 2012 with no tech issues. So.
Because I had all my tech issues last night. Yay!
Yeah, I saw that you had worked all that out. So.
Skype is
awesome.
Pain in the rear.
Well, I definitely want to thank you all, the listeners, as well, for listening to us all the way through 2011, our sort of solidified year as we got our cast.
This is the year we got our stuff together.
We really did, and we've really.
I think it's all because of me.
It really, Nicole. Well, really, I mean, I'm not going to honestly disagree with that. I mean, you've become a solid part of our group. I think that you were the thing that we were missing that we didn't even know.
I was the weirdo that brought you these comics that no one's ever heard of.
Right. I mean,
that's always
you were the rag doll that holds the secret six.
Yes. Yes. It is so true. So hopefully some good stuff. I may be working with John, and we'll maybe do some visual rebuilding of the show and stuff, but I really like our content. I think we locked that down. I think we've really locked it all down, so I really like the way the show flows, but visually we might try to make some things more interesting for you. And we've got of course, our whole year of upcoming stuff, the Comic Cons and everything, comic conventions, BotCon as well will be coming up. So some of us will be
movies, TV. What do we got coming up in the way of movies this year? We got Amazing Spidey, we got The Dark Knight, we got The Avengers.
Which would be huge.
Ghost Rider's coming.
Ghost Rider's next month. Yep.
Ghost Rider's soon.
What do we got in the telly? We got we should be seeing a second season of Avengers soon. Green Lantern will be back. Justice carrying on. Ultimate Spider-Man is supposed to start this year. We get the DC Nation block.
Yeah,
the new Hulk cartoon should hopefully be coming out later this year too.
Is that Punisher TV show still coming? Is that coming this year?
Supposedly,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how that. There was something else when DC.
I heard that the Wonder Woman costume is going to show up on a TV show.
It does, yeah. And in fact, it's the girl from Smallville.
You can't kill that Wonder Woman pilot. Yeah. Lois Lane's going to be Wonder Woman in some TV show. I heard about that.
Booster Gold startup.
Yeah, Booster Gold. Forgot about that.
Yes, Booster
I think
Gold.
they're all
Yes.
in development.
Wait, JD forgot about it.
No, I'm
Wait.
so. That's like I said. I've been holidays.
Yeah. Walking Dead's coming back. Walking Dead's coming back in February.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully
But that's
this
been good.
time we'll get some episodes that don't put me to sleep.
Oh, come on.
Aw.
Oh man, that show is going to have to pull its finger out if it wants to get it.
No, come on.
There's a
that last
visual.
episode was
Last episode.
I am
pretty good.
no, the last
didn't see
10
that
minutes
come,
of that
honestly.
episode. The last 10 minutes of that episode.
That
Anyway,
was when he said, screw you, comic book fans. This ain't your comic book. This is whatever I want it to be.
Yeah, because stuff happens in the comic book.
Yeah. Woo! All right, then. So trying to end on an up note. So anyway, we've got there's a lot of good stuff coming in 2012. We will be here for all of it. Some capacity. Usually we're
Except
four.
if, the Steelers are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
or
well,
there's a holiday.
That's not looking very good at the moment. So,
yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. Crew, thank you so much. It's been a great year, and I'm looking forward to next year being just as good. Listeners, live listeners, thanks so much for joining us every week.
Yeah.
Cassius, Don. I saw Amy was here.
Yep.
Adam
Yeah.
was here as well.
Yeah.
So, nice crew this week. So anyway, awesome. Thanks so much, and we'll be back next week. And tune in when it'll be Fanboy versus.
This has been Fanboy versus. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Like the podcast? Leave us feedback on iTunes. Copyright 2011 Radio Free Cybertron.